You are running out of time. Not in the metaphorical sense, not in the distant abstract future that you like to imagine is decades away. You are running out of time right now. Every second you spend distracted, every moment you spend performing a role that was written for you by someone else, is a hemorrhage of the only currency you actually possess. You have been told that life is a climb, a ladder, a progression towards some golden peak of retirement and relaxation. But if you talk to the people who are actually at the end, the ones lying in the sterile silence of a hospital room waiting for the final curtain, they will not tell you about their promotions. They will not tell you about the safety of their bank accounts. They will look at you with eyes that have finally seen the truth, and they will tell you that they missed the point entirely. They will tell you that they spent their entire lives preparing to live, but never actually started. Most of us are sleepwalking. We are biologically alive, but ontologically dead. We move through the motions of existence. Wake up, commute, work, consume, sleep, repeat, trapped in a loop that feels vaguely suffocating, yet terrifyingly safe. You feel it, don't you? That subtle, gnawing sensation in your chest when the silence lingers too long. That quiet panic on a Sunday evening. It is the feeling that there is something massive, something vital, that you are forgetting. You are not tired. You are uninspired. You are not depressed. You are distracted from the reality of your own soul. You are living a script that was handed to you at birth, a script titled Safety and Success, and you are playing your part perfectly while your true self slowly suffocates in the dressing room. The tragedy is not that we die. The tragedy is that we never truly live. We trade our vitality for comfort. We trade our mystery for predictability. We construct a life that looks perfect on paper, the career, the house, the reputation. And we wonder why in the middle of the night we feel a hollowness so vast it threatens to swallow us whole. We are drowning in pleasure, but starved for meaning. We have more entertainment, more dopamine, more connectivity than any humans in history. Yet, we are plagued by a profound, shaking loneliness. This is not an accident. This is the design. You are living in a system that is engineered to keep you asleep because a sleeping population is easy to manage, easy to sell to, and easy to replace. But the cracks are starting to show. That is why you are here. That is why you are listening. Because the part of you that is still alive is clawing at the walls of the cage, demanding to be let out before the clock runs out. You might think that this feeling of emptiness, this existential dread, is a problem to be solved. You might think it is a symptom of mental illness or a chemical imbalance or just a lack of discipline. The system certainly wants you to believe that. It wants you to believe that if you just buy the right product, take the right pill, or go on the right vacation, the feeling will go away. But the twist, the terrifying, liberating twist, is that the pain is not the problem. The pain is the cure. The anxiety you feel is not a disorder. It is a signal. It is your intuition screaming at you that you are living a lie. It is the friction between who you are and who you are pretending to be. Consider the philosophy of Martin Heidegger. He spoke of the concept of Das Man, the they. He argued that most of us live inauthentically, absorbed in the trivialities of the they self, doing what one does, thinking what one thinks. We drift along in the average everydayness of life, terrified to stand out, terrified to confront the singularity of our own existence. We numb ourselves to the reality of death, pushing it to the margins, pretending it is something that happens to other people. But Heidegger suggested that it is only when we confront our own mortality, what he called being towards death, that we can snap out of the trance. The anxiety of death is the only thing powerful enough to shatter the glass of the system and wake us up to the urgency of being. What you perceive as a crisis is actually a transition of consciousness. It is the dark night of the soul that the mystics spoke of. It feels like you are dying because a part of you is dying. The false self, the ego construct, the mask you have worn for decades to please your parents, your teachers, and your bosses, it is beginning to crack. And because you have identified with the mask for so long, you think you are cracking, but you are not the mask. You are the consciousness behind it, watching it crumble. This is not a breakdown. It is a breakthrough. It is the moment the caterpillar dissolves into goo within the chrysalis, a messy, terrifying, destructive process that is absolutely necessary for the emergence of something real. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We explore the depths of the human experience here, and we don't shy away from the dark. Let's go deeper into this architecture of illusion. The system you live in, let's call it the matrix for lack of a better term, operates on a very simple mechanism, the deferral of life. It sells you a future that never arrives. You suffer through school to get into college. You suffer through college to get a job. You suffer through the entry-level job to get a promotion. You suffer through the career to get to retirement. And then, when you finally arrive at the promised land of freedom, you are too old, too tired, and too conditioned to enjoy it. You have spent 50 years training yourself to be a beast of burden, and you have forgotten how to be a human being. Arthur Schopenhauer, the great pessimist of the 19th century, described life as a pendulum swinging violently between pain and boredom. When we are striving for something, we feel the pain of lack. When we get it, we feel the boredom of satiety. The system exploits this pendulum perfectly. It keeps you in a state of perpetual lack, always dangling the next carrot, the next upgrade, the next dopamine hit. It weaponizes your desire against you. It creates problems, inadequacy, fear of missing out, status anxiety, and then sells you the solutions. But the solutions are saltwater. They only make you thirstier. This is the tyranny of the when-then mindset. When I make 6 figures, then I'll be happy. When I find a partner, then I'll feel complete. When I retire, then I'll write that book. This is the logic of a ghost. You are haunting your own future while your present moment, the only reality that actually exists, withers on the vine. You are trading diamonds for dust. Epicurus, the ancient Greek philosopher often misunderstood as a hedonist, actually taught that the greatest pleasure is the absence of pain and anxiety, ataraxia. He argued that our insatiable desires for wealth, status, and immortality are the very things that rob us of peace. We are terrified of death, so we frantically accumulate life in the form of possessions and accolades, trying to build a fortress that will survive us. But the fortress is a tomb. Imagine your life as a house. For years you have been obsessing over the furniture. You've been painting the walls the perfect shade of beige, buying the most comfortable sofas, installing the biggest screens. You have spent all your energy decorating the interior, but you haven't noticed that the house is on fire. The foundation is rotting. The roof is collapsing. You are arranging deck chairs on the Titanic. The furniture is your career, your social media presence, your trivial dramas. The fire is the finite nature of your time. The rot is the utter lack of meaning in your daily existence. You focus on the accumulation of assets, but you are hemorrhaging the asset of attention. Where is your mind right now? Is it here, or is it scanning for the next distraction? The system has colonized your attention. It has fractured your ability to sit with yourself. Blaise Pascal famously said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." Why is it so hard? Because when the noise stops, the truth speaks. And the truth is often painful. It tells you that you are lonely. It tells you that you are bored. It tells you that you are afraid. So you reach for the phone. You reach for the drink. You reach for the work. You anesthetize the messenger. And in doing so, you kill the message. There is a seductive danger in the modern world, the trap of false solutions. We see the emptiness and we try to fill it with wellness. Alas, we treat the soul like a project to be optimized. We meditate to be more productive. We do yoga to look better in photos. We go to therapy to become better adjusted to a sick society. As Jiddu Krishnamurti said, it is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. We embrace hedonism disguised as self-care. We think that treating ourselves to expensive dinners or spa days is the answer to the existential void. But this is just high-end anesthesia. It is the golden cage. You are comfortable, You are fed, you are entertained, but you are not free. You are a battery powering a machine that does not care about you. The dopamine hits, the likes, the sugar, the shopping are the bars of the cage. They keep you docile. They keep you just satisfied enough not to revolt, but not satisfied enough to be free. The system fears nothing more than a human being who is content. A person who needs nothing cannot be controlled. A person who is not afraid of death cannot be threatened. A person who knows who they are cannot be sold a false identity. That is why the system works so hard to keep you insecure, hungry, and afraid. It needs you to be broken so it can sell you the glue. If you are feeling the weight of this, if the illusion is starting to flicker, consider subscribing. We are building a community of those who are waking up. So what is the alternative? If the pursuit of happiness is a trap and the pursuit of success is a treadmill, what is left? The answer lies in a paradigm shift so radical it feels like madness to the conditioned mind. The answer is not happiness. The answer is authenticity. It is the shift from "how do I feel good" to "what is true." It is the shift from "what can I get from the world" to "what can I bring to the world." This requires a confrontation with the existentialist's concept of angst. Søren Kierkegaard described anxiety as the dizziness of freedom. It is the vertigo you feel when you realize that there are no guardrails, no predestined path, and that you are entirely responsible for your own life. This responsibility is terrifying. It is much easier to blame your parents, the economy, or your bad luck. But as long as you blame the external, you remain a victim. To accept total responsibility is to accept total freedom. This new paradigm is about presence and integrity. It means aligning your external life with your internal reality. It means having the courage to disappoint others rather than betray yourself. It means realizing that a good life is not a life free of suffering, but a life where the suffering has meaning. Friedrich Nietzsche introduced the concept of amor fati, the love of one's fate, to not just bear what is necessary, but to love it, to embrace every scar, every mistake, every moment of pain as an essential thread in the tapestry of who you are. The person who loves their fate cannot be broken by it. Now I hear the objections rising in your mind. The voice of the system is loud. It says, "This is all fine and philosophical, but I have bills to pay. I have kids to feed. I can't just drop out of society and stare at the wall." And let me validate that. You are right. You have responsibilities. You are embedded in a web of obligations. I am not telling you to abandon your family or starve. That is the reaction of a child. The adult awakening is more subtle and more dangerous. It is not about changing where you are, but how you are. You can wash dishes like a zombie, or you can wash dishes like a master. You can sit in a meeting and play the political game, or you can sit in the meeting and bring a radical, honest presence that shifts the energy of the room. You don't need to move to a cabin in the woods to escape the matrix. The matrix is in your mind. You escape it by ceasing to believe in its narratives. You escape it by realizing that your worth is not tied to your productivity. You can keep the job but lose the attachment. You can play the role, but know it is a costume. That is the ultimate subversion, to be in the world, but not of it. Another objection. It's too late for me. I've wasted too much time. I've made too many mistakes. This is the voice of shame, and shame is the jailer of the soul. The past does not exist. It is a memory trace in your neural circuits. The future does not exist. It is a projection of your imagination. There is only now. The awakening can happen in a split second. The realization of your true nature is not a cumulative process. It is an instantaneous recognition. The thief on the cross, the Zen master in the garden, the businessman having a heart attack, the doorway is always open. The waste was just the kindling for the fire that is burning now. You needed to be asleep to know what it means to wake up. You needed to fall to know what it means to stand. Let me tell you a story, not about a famous philosopher, but about a man we'll call Thomas. Thomas was the archetype of success. By 45, he was a partner at a prestigious law firm. He had the vacation home, the luxury car, the beautiful family. He was the envy of his peers. But Thomas had a secret. Every morning for 10 years, he would sit in his car in the parking garage of his office building for 15 minutes, gripping the steering wheel, wishing he would have a heart attack. He didn't want to die. He just wanted the treadmill to stop. He wanted a valid excuse to exit the life he had built. He numbed this feeling with expensive scotch and younger women, destroying his marriage in the process. He threw himself into work, billing 80 hours a week, chasing the next bonus, the next award. Then the collapse came. Not a heart attack, but a stroke. He woke up in a hospital bed, partially paralyzed, unable to speak clearly. The silence he had spent his life running from finally caught him. For the first few months, he was in hell. He raged against his body, against the unfairness of it all. He lost his job. His friends stopped calling. He was stripped of every label he had used to define himself. He was no longer the partner. He was just a broken man in a wheelchair. But then something shifted. Stripped of the capacity to perform, he was forced to just be. He began to watch the light play on the wall in the afternoons. He began to truly listen to his daughter when she visited, hearing the tremor in her voice that he had ignored for years. Thomas realized with a shattering clarity that his successful life had been a fever dream. He had been a slave to an image. Now, broken and discarded by the system, he was free. He found a joy in the simple taste of an apple that he had never found in a $1,000 dinner. He found a connection with the night nurse that was deeper than any connection he had with his business partners. He died 3 years later, but those 3 years were the only years he truly lived. He told his daughter at the end, "Don't wait for the stroke. Break your own legs if you have to, but stop running." Thomas's story is a warning and a promise. It shows us that the worst thing that can happen, the loss of status, health, and control, can be the gateway to the best thing, the recovery of the soul. But you don't have to wait for the stroke. You can induce the transformation voluntarily. This brings us to the metaphor of the chrysalis, or perhaps more accurately, the forest fire. In nature, some forests require fire to regenerate. The old brush, the dead wood, the choking vines, they need to burn away so the sunlight can reach the soil and new seeds can sprout. Your life is full of dead wood, habits that don't serve you, relationships that drain you, beliefs that limit you. You are terrified of the fire, but the fire is necessary. The void you feel, the emptiness, that is the clearing. The system teaches you to fear the void, to fill it with noise. I am telling you to enter the void. The void is not empty. It is pregnant with potential. It is the womb of creation. When you stop distracting yourself, when you stop running, you will initially feel pain. All the repressed emotions, all the grief, all the boredom will surface. This is the detox. Sit with it. Do not judge it. Do not fix it. Just watch it. This is the practice of dying before you die. If this speaks to the part of you that is tired of running, consider subscribing. So how do we practically apply this? How do we live as existential rebels in a world of sleepwalkers? First, you must habituate the void. Carve out time every day for absolute non-doing. No phone, no books, no meditation apps, just you and a wall. 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It will be excruciating at first. Your brain will scream for stimulation. Let it scream. Watch the thoughts like clouds passing over a mountain. You are the mountain. This practice builds the muscle of presence. It teaches you that you do not need external input to exist. Second, audit your script. Look at your life with the cold clinical eye of a surgeon. Why do you want that promotion? Is it because you love the work or because you want the applause? Why are you friends with those people? Do they inspire you? Or do you just drink together to numb the pain? Be ruthless. Identify the shoulds. I should do this. I should want that. These are the bars of your cage. Start saying no. No is a complete sentence. No is the sword that cuts the strings of the puppet master. Third, contemplate death daily. The Stoics called it memento mori. Remember, you must die. This is not morbid. It is clarifying. When you are arguing with your spouse about the dishes, ask yourself, if I died tonight, would this matter? When you are terrified to launch that project, Ask yourself, in 100 years, who will care if I failed? Death puts everything in perspective. It strips away the trivial and reveals the essential. Use death as your advisor. It will never lie to you. Fourth, reclaim your attention. Your attention is your life force. The system is an extraction machine designed to mine your attention for profit. Every time you scroll, you are paying them with your life. Stop the hemorrhage. Turn off notifications. Delete the apps. Create boundaries of steel around your focus. When you are with someone, be with them completely. When you are walking, just walk. Relearn the art of doing one thing at a time. Fifth, seek discomfort. The comfort zone is a coffin. Do things that scare you. Have the difficult conversation. Quit the safe job. Take the cold shower. Speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that something else is more important than fear. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you hack the system. You rewrite the code. The synthesis of all this is a realization that will change everything. The problem was never the world. The problem was your attachment to the world appearing a certain way. The matrix is not just out there, it is in here. It is the belief that you are separate, that you are incomplete, that you need something to be okay. When you let go of that need, you become untouchable. You begin to see that the regrets of the dying are actually a map for the living. The top 5 regrets recorded by palliative nurse Bronnie Ware were: I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. I wish I hadn't worked so hard. I wish I'd had the courage to express my feelings. I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. I wish I had let myself be happier. Look at that list. None of them are about money. None of them are about fame. They are about connection, authenticity, and presence. They are about the very things we sacrifice on the altar of the system. But here is the good news. You are not on your deathbed. You are here now. You have the one thing those people in the hospital would give anything for: time. But do not be fooled by the abundance of today. It is a finite resource. The sand is running through the hourglass whether you watch it or not. You have been given a second chance. The fact that you are hearing this, that you are feeling this resonance, means the awakening has already begun. You can feel the shell cracking. Do not patch it up. Let it break. Let the light in. The life you are afraid to lose is the life that is killing you. The life that is waiting for you is beyond your wildest imagination, but it requires a death to enter it. The system wants you to be a consumer. The universe wants you to be a creator. The system wants you to be afraid. The universe wants you to be free. The choice is made in every single moment. It is made in the pause before you react. It is made in the silence you choose to inhabit. It is made in the truth you choose to speak. We are walking each other home, but the walk is short and the night is drawing in. Do not get distracted by the neon lights of the carnival. Keep your eyes on the stars. Keep your feet on the path. You entered this world with nothing, and you will leave with nothing. Everything in between is alone. The only thing you get to keep is who you become. So ask yourself the question that stops the world. If today were your last day, would you do what you were about to do? If the answer is no for too many days in a row, you need to change something. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now, wake up. The autopsy of your life is happening right now, and you are holding the scalpel. Cut out the rot, save the heart. But waking up is only the first step. Staying awake is the war. The moment you decide to reclaim your life, the system will push back. It will not push back with soldiers or guns. It will push back with a much more subtle and effective weapon: social friction. The people around you, your friends, your colleagues, even your family, are unconsciously invested in your stagnation. When you change, you hold a mirror up to their inaction. Your freedom reminds them of their chains, and they will hate you for it. They will say you are having a midlife crisis. They will say you are being irresponsible. They will try to pull you back into the comfort of the herd. This is the crab bucket theory in action. When one crab tries to escape, the others pull it back down. You must be prepared for the loneliness of the ascent. This is where most people fail. They glimpse the truth, they feel the call of the wild, but the cold wind of isolation hits them, and they scurry back to the warmth of the lie. They choose belonging over being. But ask yourself, is it better to be warm in a prison cell or cold on the mountaintop? The loneliness you fear is not the absence of people. It is the presence of yourself. You have spent so long avoiding yourself that you have become a stranger in your own body. The process of reacquaintance requires silence, and silence often looks like solitude. Friedrich Nietzsche spoke of the last man, the ultimate product of a decadent civilization. The last man is obsessed with comfort, safety, and happiness. He blinks and says, "We have invented happiness," while living a life completely devoid of risk, passion, or greatness. The last man despises the overachiever, despises the outlier, because the outlier threatens the stability of the herd. Look around you. Look at the sterilized, risk-averse, insured, safety-netted world we have built. We are breeding a generation of last men. We are trading our souls for a guarantee that nothing bad will ever happen. But in doing so, we ensure that nothing real will ever happen. To break this, you must become what Camus called the rebel. The rebel is a man who says no. He refuses to be reduced to a function. He refuses to accept the absurdity of a life lived for someone else's profit. But his no to the system is a yes to life. It is a terrifying affirmation of his own value. This rebellion is not about burning down government buildings. It is about burning down the internal structures of authority that tell you you are not enough. It is about realizing that the approval of the they is a currency that has no value in the bank of death. If this resonates, consider subscribing. The path is narrower from here on out. Let's dissect the anatomy of your fear. What are you actually afraid of? You are afraid of the little death. You are afraid of the death of your ego, the death of your persona. You have spent decades building a reputation. You are the reliable one, the funny one, the successful one. These are costumes, and you are terrified that if you take off the costume, there will be nothing underneath. This is the void again, but the void is only empty if you are looking for things to clutter it with. If you look at the void with clear eyes, you see that it is actually space. It is the space in which you can finally move. The system relies on your lack of imagination. It has convinced you that there is only one way to live: linear progression, school, work, breeding, retirement, death. It paints any deviation from this line as failure. If you take a year off to travel, you are destroying your resume. If you quit a high-paying job to be a carpenter, you are wasting your potential. But who defined potential? Was it you or was it the economy? The economy defines potential as your capacity to generate value for shareholders. Your soul defines potential as your capacity to experience depth, awe, and love. These two definitions are almost always at war. You must be willing to be a failure in the eyes of the world to be a success in the eyes of your soul. This requires a level of indifference that borders on the superhuman. It requires you to look at the prizes everyone is fighting for, the corner office, the blue check mark, the new car, and see them for what they are: plastic trinkets, toys for children. When you stop wanting the toys, the adults in the room get very nervous. They can't control you anymore. You become dangerous. Consider the myth of Sisyphus, condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a hill for eternity, only to watch it roll back down. It is the ultimate metaphor for the futility of the rat race. We roll the boulder of inbox zero. We roll the boulder of monthly quotas. We roll the boulder of laundry. It never ends. Camus argues that the moment Sisyphus turns to walk back down the hill, the moment he realizes the futility of his task and chooses to do it anyway, not as a punishment, but as his own defiance, he becomes free. One must imagine Sisyphus happy, Camus writes. Why? Because he has accepted his fate. He has stopped hoping for the boulder to stay at the top. He has found his dignity in the struggle itself. You are Sisyphus. The boulder is your life. The mistake is thinking that one day the boulder will stay up. It won't. The emails will never stop. The house will never stay clean. The to-do list is a hydra. Stop waiting for the done state. There is no done. There is only the doing. Find the glory in the push. Find the presence in the mundane. If you are washing the dishes thinking about how much you hate washing dishes, you are in hell. If you are washing the dishes and feeling the warmth of the water, the texture of the porcelain, the rhythm of your breath, you are in heaven. Heaven and hell are not geographic locations. They are focal points of attention. This brings us to the hedonic treadmill and the dopamine trap. We are biologically wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. In the Paleolithic era, this kept us alive. In the digital era, it is killing us. We have engineered a world of super stimuli. Pornography, fast food, social media, video games. These are hyper-palatable versions of reality that hijack our reward circuitry. We are rats in a cage pressing the lever for cocaine until we starve to death. You think you are relaxing when you scroll TikTok for 2 hours? You are not relaxing. You are fragmenting your mind. You are overstimulating your dopamine receptors to the point where normal life, the beauty of a sunset, the taste of plain water, the eyes of your lover, feels dull and gray. You are an addict. We all are. We are addicted to distraction because we are terrified of what we might hear in the silence. But the cure for addiction is not sobriety. It is connection. Connection to yourself. You have to detox. And like any detox, the withdrawals are painful. You will feel bored. You will feel restless. You will feel a phantom vibration in your pocket. This is your brain screaming for its fix. Do not give in. Treat this boredom as a sacred fire. It is burning away the dependency. On the other side of boredom lies creativity. On the other side of boredom lies clarity. All the great works of art, all the profound philosophical insights, all the true innovations in history came from men and women who were capable of deep, sustained, unbroken attention. The system wants you shallow. Depth is rebellion. To read a difficult book is an act of resistance. To listen to a piece of classical music without checking your phone is an act of resistance. To sit with a friend and really listen without thinking about what you are going to say next is a revolutionary act. If this resonates, consider subscribing. We are relearning the art of being human. Let's deepen the metaphor of the forest fire introduced earlier. There is a concept in ecology called serotiny. It refers to seeds that only release from their cones when exposed to the intense heat of a fire. Without the catastrophe, the new life remains locked away, dormant, forever. You are carrying seeds of potential, talents, perspectives, capacities for love that are encased in the hard resin of your conditioning. You are waiting for the gentle rain to open them, but they don't need rain. They need fire. The crisis you are fearing, the divorce, the bankruptcy, the burnout, might be the fire you need. We spend so much energy trying to prevent the forest fire, putting out every little spark of chaos. But by suppressing the small fires, we allow the dead wood to accumulate, ensuring that when the fire finally comes, it will be a mega fire that destroys everything. Let the small fires burn. Let the relationship that isn't working end. Let the job that is crushing you go. Stop holding on to the dead wood. You are terrified of the destruction, but you should be terrified of the preservation. Preserving a dead thing is the definition of a haunting. And what about the regrets of the living? We talk about the regrets of the dying, but what about the regrets you have right now? The low-level hum of dissatisfaction, the knowledge that you are settling. This is existential guilt. It is the guilt you feel not for doing something wrong, but for failing to do something right, specifically, failing to do justice to your own possibility. This guilt is a heavy burden. It manifests as cynicism. Have you noticed how cynical you've become? Cynicism is just disappointed idealism. It is a defense mechanism. You decided it was safer to sneer at the world than to engage with it and risk getting hurt again. But cynicism is a poison you drink hoping the other person will die. It calcifies your heart. To melt the cynicism, you need vulnerability. Not the weakness of oversharing on the internet, but the strength of showing up without your armor. It means admitting, I am lost. It means admitting, I am lonely. It means looking at the person you love and saying, I am afraid of losing you, instead of picking a fight about the trash. Vulnerability is the only way to touch reality. If you are always armored, you are safe, but you are numb. You cannot feel the wind if you are wearing a spacesuit. Let's talk about the concept of time dilation. Have you noticed how time seems to speed up as you get older? When you were a child, a summer lasted forever. Now, a decade blinks by. Why? Because the brain stops recording new memories when everything is repetitive. The routine tells your brain, nothing new here, no need to write to the hard drive. So weeks compress into a single memory file labeled work. If you want to slow down time, if you want to extend your life not in years but in experience, you must inject novelty. You must break the pattern, drive a different way home, talk to a stranger, learn a language, get lost. Danger and novelty are the anchors that slow the drift of time. A life of safety is a life that is over before you know it. A life of risk feels long because every moment is etched in high definition. The ancient Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. They would visualize losing everything they loved. They would imagine their house burning, their children dying, their own exile. This sounds horrific to the modern positive vibes only mindset, but the result was not depression. It was profound gratitude. When you visualize the loss of your legs, you stand up and realize what a miracle it is to walk. When you visualize the death of your partner, you look at them across the breakfast table, and you don't see their annoying habits. You see a temporary, precious miracle that will one day be taken from you. The system sells you the fantasy of permanence. Buy this diamond, it lasts forever. Buy this insurance, you are covered. Nothing is covered, everything is sand. The more you grasp, the more it slips. The only way to hold sand is to cup your hand open. The only way to hold life is to hold it loosely. This is the paradox of attachment. The more you need something, the more it controls you. The moment you are willing to walk away, you regain your power. Think of the golden handcuffs, the high salary that keeps you in the miserable job. You have lifestyle inflation. You bought the bigger house, so you need the bigger check. So you work the longer hours, so you need the expensive vacation to recover. So you need the bigger check. It is a closed loop of misery. The only way out is to downgrade. And this is heresy in the capitalist religion. Downsizing is seen as failure, but downsizing is actually upsizing your freedom. Can you be happy in a smaller room? Can you be happy with an older car? If the answer is yes, you are invincible. If the answer is no, you are a slave to the dealership and the bank. Epicurus was right. He who is not satisfied with a little is satisfied with nothing. The threshold for your happiness is too high. You need to lower the bar. You need to relearn how to enjoy a cup of coffee. Just the coffee. Not coffee and a scroll. Not coffee and a meeting. Just the hot, dark liquid, the smell, the warmth. If you cannot enjoy a cup of coffee, you will not enjoy a yacht. The capacity for enjoyment is internal, not external. If the lens is dirty, the world looks dirty, no matter where you look. We are approaching the synthesis, the point where the pain, the philosophy, and the practice converge. You are not trying to fix your life. You are trying to inhabit it. Consider the metaphor of the actor. You are an actor on a stage. For years, you have been method acting so hard, you forgot you were playing a role. You really think you are the character. You feel the character's stress, the character's ambition. Awakening is not leaving the stage. It is simply remembering you are the actor. You can still say the lines, you can still cry the tears, but there is a part of you, deep down, that is watching the performance with a slight smile. You are the observer. This distance, this tiny gap between the stimulus and the response, is your freedom. Viktor Frankl, surviving the Nazi death camps, found this freedom. He realized that they could take his wife, his clothes, his name, his hair, but they could not take his last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. If Frankl could find freedom in Auschwitz, you can find it in your cubicle. But you have to stop playing the victim. You are not a victim of the system. You are a co-conspirator. You keep signing the contract every morning you wake up and choose distraction over depth. This leads us to the final transformation. The concept of Amor Fati, loving your fate, needs to be your mantra, not just accepting it, but devouring it. The traffic jam? Good. A chance to practice patience. The rejection? Good. A chance to redirect. The illness? Good. A reminder of mortality. This is not masochism, it is alchemy. You turn the lead of suffering into the gold of wisdom. You become anti-fragile. The system breaks under stress. You get stronger. The regrets of end of life are not a checklist of things you didn't buy. They are a checklist of selves you didn't become. The ghost of the person you could have been is standing beside your deathbed. That ghost is angry. Do not let that ghost haunt you. Merge with it now. You still have time to be the person who took the risk. You still have time to be the person who forgave the unforgivable. You still have time to be the person who simply sat still and watched the rain without needing to post it on Instagram. The awakening is circular. You leave the village, you slay the dragon, and you return to the village. But when you return, you are different. You chop wood and carry water, as the Zen proverb says. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. The action is the same. The internal quality is entirely different. You are no longer sleepwalking. You are dancing. But be warned, the system will try to reabsorb you. It will offer you a raise. It will offer you a distraction. It will whisper, just go back to sleep, it's easier. And it is easier. Consciousness is a burden. Truth is a burden. Freedom is a heavy load, but it is the only load worth carrying.